Self-sustaining 3D printed houses generate their own water and electricity. So this is a Nevada-based company called House.me, and they've created a small, high-tech prefab house that can operate entirely off the grid. These houses produce their own power, water, and even have full air quality protection and filtering. And they also come with a zombie-proof lifetime warranty. Other nice features include things like smart lighting, automatic shades, smart thermostat, solar panels, and even a large hidden projector screen. Honestly, sounds nicer than my New York apartment. There's 3 different versions of the house. The most expensive one costs $1 million, and the cheapest one costs $200,000. So question to you all, is this another example of a category of privileged goods for super rich people? Or, I mean, we've seen in other industries where new categories emerge and it's a high-end product that starts and then the category evolves to the other end of the spectrum. So a perfect example is electric cars, right? Tesla started with a very expensive model that was only available to a few, and now they've got the Model 3 that's available to a lot more people. What do you all think?
So I'm like genuinely obsessed with this space. Actually dabbled in potentially my startup being one of these modular construction companies, and then chickened out and decided to build a calendar instead. So first of all, I do think that these kind of prefab models, and there's different options. There's you can have it kind of, it's panelized where they slap it together like Lego, or I believe in this case it's volumetric, like where they ship it on a flatbed truck and like plop it down.
Yeah.
And it kind of has to be the future. If you think a lot of like the dynamics around the cost of building, around that, there's actually just not enough now kind of labor to build in kind of the most developed cities, and so the cost just keeps going up, and so we're being forced this direction no matter what. And yeah, I like this concept. I think this is more in the category of like toys for super rich, because I don't actually think it's solving the real housing problems that we're facing today, which is the cost of housing in cities. Now, post pandemic, we'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm a huge believer in the space, and stuff like this just gets me so excited.
Yeah, I'm just impressed that when anything is 3D printed, because I still have problems printing off my printer at home. So I'm just like, I don't know how we did this. It looks like a really fancy double wide trailer, which I think is great to have these as trailer parks, but with the price range, I don't think that's going to happen, nor do I think people that live in trailer parks are into being sustainable. But I think it could be a really cool Airbnb.
Yeah, I think the price point for the space is quite steep, but hopefully over time that goes down. And I totally agree. I could see going to like a hotel somewhere that's a bunch of these kind of houses that are sustainable. Like I think the hospitality angle would be maybe one of the good first use cases.
Jordan, you talked about sort of prefab houses like this being able to serve a more important need of housing crisis in cities that need more low-income housing. I mean, this is cool and $1 million and all the nice touches are fun. What does sort of the other version of that look like on the other end of the spectrum, where it's actually net positive to the world?
Yeah. So, well, they're obviously exploring this in all different kind of cities. Like there's examples, I mean, China, where they like built an entire skyscraper in some ridiculous amount of time, like 30 days. And so where it plays a role is in, you can actually, you imagine, why are people on scaffoldings like swinging hammers out in the elements, when we have things like factories that have been around for a very long time, and can we actually produce components or even the whole unit in some cases in this factory in a controlled environment, and as a result be able to do things like ensure consistency, consistency, you reduce the costs. And then there's a whole bunch of challenges around that. It's like, okay, then you have to have the shipping elements built into it. And so it's a very complicated problem, but the promise is real. And, some of the areas where it's really effective is that it's able to dramatically shrink the time it takes to actually build. And so for certain industries like, hotels or rental buildings where, the faster you can build that, the sooner you can actually start, renting it out and monetizing it. That's where it's kind of found its initial niche. And so I just think over time, we just need scale. We need the demand to kind of, start getting into different verticals. And then out of that, we can start having all the supply chains kind of move in such a way that the cost goes down. And what this is squeezing ultimately is the cost per square foot for the construction. And so it's not going to answer the land cost issue, but in that case, they're also figuring out how to just continually build up with these models as well. So that's kind of, it's going to have to be this perfect storm of events to really get to that critical mass where I think we see this being kind of the norm, but it's already finding its place in specific sectors. And absolutely, it will be a net benefit.
There's been a lot of chat on Twitter lately about people leaving big cities like New York and San Francisco for more remote locations. Is this sort of a possible direction into that future as well, where we all go back to the days of communes, except instead of having to, set them up however they did, we're able to just drop in these like really awesome self-contained units?
I mean, I do feel like these would make really great second homes for people that can afford it. Like, I like that you can drop it anywhere. I mean, I really like prefabricated houses, so I think this is really impressive, but it is just like the price range. I feel like for the everyday person, it's going to be pretty hard.
Second home for your private island.
Yeah.